Hi there, beautiful souls. I hope you're having a lovely day. So today I wanted to talk about a topic that has been coming up and up and up over and over and over again for the last couple of months. And it is this idea of creating our new normal. And I think that for me personally, this question in my mind kept coming up, especially because of being in lockdown through coronavirus and having our whole world completely changed overnight in March, April this year, 2020. And for the last 8 months coming in and out of lockdown to try and get a handle on things and keep everyone safe, it's really brought up this question within me and within conversations with close friends and loved ones about what's our new normal going to look like. And I often found this question would come up with inside me when I would hear people say, I just want to go back to normal life. I want everything to go back to normal, which I completely get that because this has been a crazy year. But every time I heard that, I was like, oh, there's so much that would stir within me. And I sat with it and I would think about all the lessons that being in lockdown taught me. And I would start to question, do I want my life to go back to how it was before? Or is this a wake-up call for us on an individual level to really stop and slow down and have a look at our lives and have a look at what is really important to us and really ask ourselves if we are putting that at the front of our priority and decision-making list, and is that where we're making decisions from? And it really made me just stop and go, okay, I'm going to reflect on all the lessons that I've learned through this lockdown and everything that's been happening this year. And how do I want my life to look? How do my husband and I want our family's life to look? What do the kids enjoy doing more of? What are we going to do to create our new normal? And the way our intuition comes into play is that it tells us through our body. So one example of this is when we started to come out of lockdown about a month ago and the kids were going back to school and kinder and my husband was going back to work, all of a sudden I was going out of the house at least twice a day to do kids drop-offs and pickups and all that sort of thing. But previous to that, when we'd been in lockdown, I was at home with the kids and my husband was at home. I was leaving the house once on the weekend to go for a big family walk. And then during the week I was going for a walk with a friend, but the rest of the time I was doing my exercise here because I've got my bike, I've got my weights, I've got my yoga mat, I've got all the things I need to do exercise in here. Sometimes we go for a bit of a walk around the block and that sort of thing, but most of the time I was within our property, within our house. So I was leaving our property maybe 2 to 3 times max a week. And then all of a sudden, and I know that I'm not the only one experiencing this, I know many people have been experiencing this. All of a sudden, we're asked to go back out again. And then all of a sudden, I'm gone from going out of our house and property 2 to 3 times a week, all of a sudden to 2 times a day, maybe 3 times a day. And that was overwhelming for my body. I was so exhausted. And I know, once again, I'm not the only one. I've spoken to so many people who have experienced the same thing. And not everyone has. And I think this, this might not apply to you being exhausted just from that. There might be different lessons that you have learned, and there might be different feelings that come up in your body when all these things happen. I'm a sensitive soul. I'm an introvert. So I'm happy being at home most of the time. I love my own space. So that was definitely something to adjust to and create new boundaries and rituals around during lockdown, having all 5 of us at home all the time, 24/7. And yeah, I really feel like our bodies will tell us intuitively what our new normal needs to look like, because as we start to step out and do things, our bodies will tell us, this is too much for me now. I don't want to do this anymore. Or yes, I want more of this. I do have some friends who are extroverts, and going out for them and seeing people almost every single day has been like this infusion of energy for them, because that's how they get their energy, is through spending time with other people. And I definitely do get that too, but in smaller doses. I definitely am someone who loves having a lot of time to myself, a lot of time to chill, like to slow things down. And that's really what lockdown taught me, was slow things down to a whole nother level and simplify life. And I found in those first couple of weeks, we're a little bit jittery and shaky getting back out into the world in terms of doing school drop-offs and pickups and everything else that was happening. So it just meant for me, I upped the dial on my self-care. I made time for naps each day. I would go to bed earlier. I would make sure I'm eating healthy food. I would make sure I'm still doing my exercise in the morning, but I changed my exercise. I changed the intensity. I dropped it down and I did more yoga and more restorative kind of exercise. I decreased the intensity on the bike that I was doing. When I went for a big walk, I wouldn't walk as far, just for those couple of weeks, just while I was getting used to this new change. So it's really about listening to our bodies. And when we come to choosing and picking what we're going to do and how we're going to create our new normal, we can really use our body as an intuitive tool. So starting to, decide how many times a week do you want to catch up with people? How many sports do you want the kids in? How many times, a week do you want to be going out after school to kids' sports? How many commitments do you want to have on the weekend? How much family time do you want? Figuring out all those things and creating those boundaries. What do you want your work to look like? Maybe work has completely changed and you're working mainly from home now and that's working for you. Or maybe you want to do half-half, or, there's so many different questions and so many different ways we've been doing things in this last sort of 8 or 9 months. And there's so many new ways to do things. So one thing that I'm doing and that I felt really important just to have this conversation is just to sit and not make fast decisions. Like, give yourself time to come out of lockdown, especially if you're an intuitive, sensitive soul like myself. Like, let the transition be slow. Even if you're not an intuitive, sensitive soul, even if you're fine going straight back out into all the things and that feels amazing for you, maybe give yourself time to choose and to listen to your body as you come back out of lockdown and you choose what that new normal is going to be for you. So there's so many different choices that we are making as a family. A few of those have got to do with what was happening with the world and the earth during this lockdown. So just seeing amazing things like the pollution levels dropping in the atmosphere and in our waters as well, like seeing things like in Venice, in the canals, they were having dolphins and marine life come back in, which they haven't had for a very long time. And even, somewhere like Nepal, from Kathmandu, they could see Mount Everest, which they haven't seen in so many years. And I get goosebumps thinking about this, because this is what happens as a collective when we slow down and when we take care of the planet and when we, make choices that can look after that planet. And especially for our children's future, we're handing the planet over to them. So what state are we going to hand it over in? And what day-to-day decisions can we make to help better the planet? So as a family, we've been trying to get use of single-use everything as much as possible over the last few years. And one thing that I'm noticing is that we recycle our soft plastics, because you can take them to the supermarket and they get repurposed and get built into like kids' playgrounds and park benches and things like that. But still, I want to decrease that part of our footprint. So I am now going through, and we're going through as a family through our soft plastics and looking at how we can do things in different ways. So instead of buying muesli bars, I'm making a lot more and, making a lot more snacks for the kids and things like that. So just trying to tip the balance without going too extreme. I definitely have this tendency of going, right, we're cutting out everything, all the soft plastic's gone, which is stressful. It's very stressful. So what I'm doing is slowly tipping that balance and slowly decreasing things and looking at the ways that we as a family can make those changes and make them together and have conversations with the kids and invite the kids into them, and also ask the kids for their ideas, because they have some amazing ideas. My kids are almost 2, 5 and 7, and the 5 and 7-year-old just have some really amazing ideas. They come up with some really great ways of looking at things and great ways of doing things. The other thing is also I didn't think this was going to turn into like this eco chat, but while we're here, the other thing is our footprint on the earth in terms of our energy and fossil fuels and things like that. So we have turned our house into a carbon neutral house. So basically by choosing a gas and electricity company who is carbon neutral, and also through our phone plans as well, we've done that. So our house at the moment is carbon neutral house, and you can look at, there's lots of different companies. Really read the fine print, because we were with a company beforehand with gas and electricity who said they were a certain percentage carbon neutral, but really they weren't. So I think ours is called Power Shop, but there's heaps out there. Just do your research, read the fine print, and ask questions. We ask questions for, what sort of percentage of carbon neutral was this company that we went with. We really wanted one that was 100% carbon neutral, so that we are decreasing our footprint on this earth and we are doing all we can for an amazing future for the generations to come. And I think like all of this comes back to intuition. So what do you feel called to do? What do you feel called to change? I'm looking at a lot within my business, changing a lot of things in my business over the next 12 months to really slow down and really simplify. How can I, make maximum impact and help as many people around the world tune into their intuition and come back to themselves in the most time effective way and in the most cost effective way and all those sorts of things. So I'm really giving myself some time to map that all out, to plan it, to sit with my intuition and just ask the universe and my soul, what are the best ways that I can do this, that I can make the biggest impact? How can I simplify it? How can I make it really easy? How can I make, a powerful impact through what I do and what I teach? So really using my intuition to look at how I can change my business and look at how I can support more people around the world. And there's so many different facets of our life that we can simplify. Even things like my clothes and things like that, and the kids' clothes. So looking at either, repairing things instead of throwing them out, and looking at selling things instead of just throwing them out, or giving them to someone who might need them. And then looking at the clothes that we're buying too. So either trying to buy secondhand or buy, from companies who are sustainable and taking care of the planet in that way as much as possible. I'm not saying once again it needs to be 100%, but just starting to even ask those questions and look in those ways. And all of these questions have come up surface for me again through lockdown. It's like, okay, how can we be more sustainable? How can we slow life down and live more simply in all of the different areas? And so it is not overwhelming. Come back into your intuition. If you're feeling called to look at these things as well, you can maybe even break your life up into different areas. So look at, okay, your work or your business. You could look at your family and your home, and you could look at everything you consume in your home. You could look at your schedule, your family schedule. How can you simplify that? So you could break your life up into mini segments and then look at how you can simplify those, and just pick maybe one at a time. Like, don't feel like you need to overhaul everything all at once. But I really just wanted to bring this conversation up and just share with you a few of the ways in which I'm looking at simplifying life and how I'm using my intuition to do that, because our intuition helps us simplify everything. Whenever we're feeling overwhelmed or stressed or everything's too much, it's because we're trying to figure it out with our head and our intellect, which is important. But when we invite our intuition into that conversation, it simplifies everything, and we can just slow down, do one step at a time, and follow the guidance from our soul and from our universe through our intuition. So I hope you've enjoyed today's video. I hope it's brought up some questions for you. Feel free to send me an email or jump over on Instagram and let me know what you're simplifying and what your new normal is going to look like, or what you might change for a new normal that you've been wanting for a while, and now everything's been thrown up in the air and you can start to create and choose your new normal. So I hope you have a beautiful day. If you are after any more information on tuning into your intuition, I have a podcast, Ignite Your Intuition by Steph. There's 48 episodes, I think, at the moment. I haven't recorded any for a couple of months, but the ones that are on there will really give you an amazing tune in to your soul. It will give you lots of amazing tips and practices and tools. And I share my personal journey with you along the way. And I also have a whole lot of free resources on my website. So there's lots of videos, there's lots of printouts that you can do to really help you tune in and take action on your intuition and really start to reconnect with that space and get back into your intuitive journey and just enjoy it along the way. So I hope you have a beautiful day, and I will see you all soon. Oh, my website is stephdemetrius.com if you're after those free resources, and there's a section called free resources, so you can head on over there and enjoy everything in there, and I will see you soon. Mwah!